listening to The Trade Gods.
We are the Trade Gods. Chev and Coach Retzlaff here. First off the rip, Superflex, 12 team, start 9, 1 PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. We have a mega deal, Chev. Malik Nabers in the 25-102. I'm going to pause it in who exactly I think it is. Omarion Hampton for Drake London and Jahmyr Gibbs. We got 90 votes, great votes. A little bit of feedback we got. Jagger May, shout out to him, everything he's doing at Fast Draft and here at Player Profiler. He made a good point in the comment section. I can get the better wide receiver and a guy who can be Jahmyr Gibbs over Drake London and Jahmyr Gibbs. My sentiment is that way. I got a little bit I can spit on Malik Nabers and the 102. Chev, give me your take first.
As you know, I'm a big Captain Durag fan. I mean, just straight from the throne of the Trade Gods down to the gridiron. I'm a big Captain Durag fan. I would like to have his number one target. I would like to have the number one target in an offense that's trending in the right direction. And I would also like to have many people's RB1 overall in Dynasty and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'm going to land on the Drake London side. Give me the 160 targets from Michael Penix. Give me the upside 100 for 1,210 touchdowns. I think that there's still room for growth because we didn't get the best version of Kirk Cousins last year. So those 160 targets coming from somebody who can matriculate the ball down the field in the manner in which Captain Durag can do so make me firmly on the side of Drake London and Jahmyr Gibbs here.
So give me Nabers last year. He had 170 targets, 15 games. London played himself 17 games. Great point, though, about Cousins to Michael Penix. I'm with you on that. 35% target share was number one for wide receivers for Malik Nabers. The QB situation is improving. Remember last year, weeks 2 through 4, Malik Nabers finishes of 3, 4, and 6. And then that concussion Thursday Night Football at the end of the Cowboys game threw him off track. 11 targets a game. And you've got a 190 target season. Malik Nabers not far from a 200 target season. Give me Malik Nabers and the 102, Omarion Hampton. He's really just looking great. I don't know how you can have Najee Harris over Omarion Hampton at all. He's just going to usurp him immediately. Give me Malik Nabers over Drake London 3 times on Sunday because there will be 3 quarterbacks throwing to Malik Nabers in 2025. You're going to have Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, and then eventually jobs are on the line. It's going to be Jackson Dart. And then I'm getting the 102 in Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton, 38 receptions in his final season in college. Can play both ways, 3 down back, multi-use. Give me Malik Nabers and the 102 being Omarion Hampton. In the event you were to tell me this 102 is Cam Ward, I don't want it. It's got to align with Hampton to Gibbs. I've got Malik Nabers over Drake London, and I'm on Drake London this year, but you're not prying Malik Nabers off my cold hands. The 102 there has to be Omarion Hampton for me, so that's how I'm penciling it in. Our viewers, our voters, they put it into the tune of 68% to 32%. Chev, how do you feel being contrarian in this instance?
I mean, you pointed out a stretch of play for Malik Nabers with shaky quarterback play, and we hope that it's better. I mean, we saw, some less than stellar quarterback play from Russ down the stretch, and we're assuming that he's going to start the season. But in 3 games with Michael Penix at quarterback, Drake London amassed 39 targets, 22 receptions, 352 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I don't have to tell you that that's really good. In that stretch, he was the wide receiver 3 in points per game with over 23 points per game. So that was tied with T. Higgins and Brian Thomas Jr. and higher than Malik Nabers, who was at 22.4 points per game. So I'm extrapolating a bit, and I'm not saying that he's going to command 13 targets a game. That would be absurd. Malik Nabers was on pace. I mean, he has the record for targets by a rookie wide receiver. However, I would take the target quality of a target from Michael Penix over any of the 3 quarterbacks that are likely to see the field for the New York Giants this year. That is why I am firmly in that camp. And we have, Drake London being moved around the formation. Drake London, an incredible red zone weapon. Drake London in the superior system at only 24 years old and potentially playing for a contract this year. I like everything about that situation more, and I don't have a chasm of value. If you haven't seen the video, Malik Nabers is my number one dynasty asset, cornerstone dynasty assets player under 24 years old or 24 years old or under. Drake London is number 6. Jahmyr Gibbs is number 3. So I would take those two combined, combined together in a trade package before I would take Malik Nabers and then re-roll to hope that I could get something that equivocates the production of Jahmyr Gibbs, who was averaging 30 points in the game in the same stretch that I just for Drake London.
Now, I think the part that is going to get people and maybe why they're reluctant on Jahmyr Gibbs' side with Drake London is there's a down tier from Nabers, sentiment public-wise right now. Nabers down to Drake London. And then there might be some of that reluctance of David Montgomery is going to come back. So it's a little bit more of how much are we going to extrapolate the end of Jahmyr Gibbs, what he had where it was unadulterated and it was just mind-blowing. And then, of course, extrapolating Drake London. Now, where I am traveling to London is on this trade with you, Chev. Drake London, this was a trade that you had. Travis Etienne in the 2025 104. One point that I have is with Drake London, and you see it in that first trade that we just laid out. Drake London's not quite at that guaranteed stud status yet as far as the trade market goes. He's just on that periphery. Fantasy gamers are getting sharp to London, though, like you are, Chev. People are joining you on that track. So that trajectory is there for Drake London. I happen to love Malik Nabers in that prior deal. Now with Drake London, 100 catches. He had 157 targets. So you had mentioned something about 160 targets, better quality with Michael Penix. I expect that target quality to go up in 2025 and get London up to, let's say, 120 catches. Remember, there was the Week 18 40 burger. It's just another little appetizer for Drake London. Etienne, as much as I love him to bounce back this year or get traded, right now in this deal is just a throwaway. In that 104, what do you think? Is that Travion Henderson? So I'm canceling out Etienne, and it's Henderson for London.
In this explicitly in this deal, that 104 is Travis Hunter.
Okay.
This is a trade that I actually made in a real league. So I wanted to solidify the wide receiver position, and I was fine. The guy that made this trade is a big Travis Hunter guy. Travis Hunter is my wide receiver 1 in the class. However, if we're taking the wide receiver 1 from any class and comparing him to somebody who's already done it, I'm going to take the guy who's already done it, who's 24 years old, who's in a contract year. I am firmly on the Drake London side because of the fact that we don't have any questions about what his usage pattern is going to be. This was the first time that he's had competent quarterback play, and we mentioned that Kirk Cousins was average at best, and I feel like that's being kind for stretches throughout the season. And now we get a guy who can access all areas of the field with his arm talent. I don't know what just happened there with my words, but I am firmly on the Drake train. We all know that I was a Drake London denier for quite some time, but I have seen the light in the area of my ways, and I do not suffer from take lock. Yes. So I am on the Drake London side because of the fact that I made this trade, and I think that there's room for growth in terms of his role in going from wide receiver 5 in points per game to accessing that top 2, top 3. If everything breaks right from a touchdown perspective, top 1 at the position.
Hey, big Phoenix energy, and denial is not a river in Egypt for those of you who are paying attention at home. And the beautiful thing is Drake London, this is 2 weeks in a row where we've had Drake London. Now we had with Travis Hunter, Garrett Wilson. Same thing, Garrett Wilson for Travis Hunter. We were on the side of Garrett Wilson. So we're going against the current here. And going against the current, Chev has gone against the current, Drake London, and you see that 104 is Travis Hunter. So in the comments, let us know how you feel. Is that a bit too far, considering you have Etienne? I really don't look at Etienne. This is 104 for London. And as Chev alluded to, it is Hunter for London. One thing I want to commend you on, Chev, in fantasy football and in life, it's better to be wrong and then right than never right at all. So as you said, you're not suffering from take lock. You're on the Drake London train. Now, those of you in the comments who are watching, like, subscribe, tell us so. Is that a little bit too far with Travis Hunter, Drake London. Now, if you're trying to sort out Dynasty, how you want to value things, we've got something for you. Listen to the Podfather.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams. And then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs. And then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide, $25 value is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to all in and get $25 off.
Hey, funny enough, there you have it. You can go onto the Dynasty Deluxe and figure out these trade values. Are we on the right track? Or is the calculator going against what we have to say? Now we're on to Alvin Kamara. A lot of liquidity I expect and anticipate for Alvin Kamara. We got a trade from Dynasty Daddy, Tyjae Spears, straight up for Alvin Kamara. We've got Derek Carr. He's out. So that's real context. Chris Olave, prior to the Derek Carr retirement, most liquid player, one of those big bubbles if you see the trade database on Dynasty Daddy. Now I'm expecting, though, Alvin Kamara, Spears, Kamara, Chev. I got my idea, but what's your idea on this?
I mean, this is a beautiful trade because it's completely situational. And what I mean by that is the fact that if you want to get younger, I mean, what sticks out in people's minds is Tyjae Spears being an absolute playoff hero. I mean, he was carrying your teams RB3 in week 16, RB10 in week 17, and then that maximum usage in week 18, where it was like, what would it be like, man? I wonder what it would be like if Tyjae Spears was a bell cow. And he had 24 opportunities and 103 total yards, finishing as the RB12 on the week before he succumbed to a concussion. And he has all the talent in the world. And so if you were a team that was looking to get off of an older running back and try to re-roll the position, I don't blame you at all if you find yourself on the Tyjae Spears side. However, Alvin Kamara was RB4 in points per game in 2024 in weeks 1 through 15 before the groin injury. So this fits two different builds. If you're a rebuilder, go ahead and get Tyjae Spears, 23 years old, with the capabilities to be a 3-down workhorse. I mean, he's a unit. I mean, I'm a Titans fan. You can see the Corey Davis jersey in the back. However, you get Alvin Kamara, one of the stalwarts at the position, part of that vaunted 2017 running back class. He's going to be the focal point of that offense until he decides not to play American tackle football anymore. So I have to be, if you're a rebuilder, take Tyjae Spears. If you're a contender, you're taking Alvin Kamara. That's pretty cut and dried for me, especially in a start 9. You want those positions to be as potent as possible. If you're giving up Tyjae Spears to get Alvin Kamara, I hope you're doing it as a contender, and Alvin Kamara is probably your third running back, giving you a positional advantage every single week. So there you have it.
I think you can get a little bit more for Alvin Kamara on the Tyjae Spears side.
Yes, absolutely.
Full PPR, especially if you're trying to rebuild, to your point. Full PPR, that really is context there. Kamara is who we want Tyjae Spears to be. Tyjae Spears, only 30 receptions last year. Remember, it was the Tony Pollard show, and I don't like it. I can't have take lock. I love Tyjae Spears, but Tony Pollard seems to have this grip on the job. 45th in RB opportunity was Tyjae Spears in 2024. And for Kamara last year, second in receptions and running back receiving yards, 68 catches, 543 yards, 8th in explosive rate here at Player Profiler, that metric. Kamara has much of a role as he wants. He really does have as much as he wants. There is going to be some other backs there, but with losing Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara presents like Walmart. Great value. Now, this one I think is a slam dunk. Chev, Sam LaPorta, and Alvin Kamara. Half PPR, 0.5 tight end premium, Borze Flowers. For me, slam dunk, set, forget. It is Sam LaPorta. What do you think? And Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, this isn't close. I mean, this would have to be best ball for me to consider, for me to for me to have some serious consideration for Zay Flowers here. I mean, he's a he's not a target hog in a low volume passing offense. I mean, Zay, we've heard different people say, I believe Coupe Fiasco, Andrew Cooper was the one that first said that, being the tertiary option, which Zay Flowers is the secondary option in that Ravens passing offense. He actually was the primary option, from a target perspective this past year. That only equated to about 116 targets. So give me Sam LaPorta, even though he dropped down from 120 targets to 89 targets, if I'm not mistaken. And Alvin Kamara, who had around 75 targets before he succumbed to injury, as I said before. So this is a smash on the side of Sam LaPorta and Alvin Kamara. I don't know who sent this trade offer out. Maybe it was one of Zay Flowers' kin or somebody that he is very closely involved with.
Yep.
But I don't understand why this trade would be made. And just several we're gonna have 20 virgins waiting on you, in the chef apocalypse, after making a trade like this. So I am firmly on the Sam LaPorta, Alvin Kamara side.
Yeah, that person is likely going to get a drug test, and they're probably on some sort of a list. You had called out 120 targets in 2023 for LaPorta. It went down to 83 last season. Let's get that number to 100 plus targets for LaPorta.
Mhm.
Back to a top 5 tight end. 10 tight end 1 weeks last year, and then he finished strong, LaPorta, 5 straight tight end 1 weeks. Let's go over to Joe Mixon, 26th round 1 for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry just gets better with age, and he just got that contract, 2 more years in that Ravens offense. Which side do you like, Chev?
Buddy, this is a tough one. I mean, Derrick Henry is he's like he's like a giant energizer bunny, man. He just keeps on ticking. He's only been interrupted by injury once in his entire career, and that was when he was on pace to become the first running back ever to rush for 2,000 yards in consecutive seasons. So it's very tough to give up a 2026 1 for a 31-year-old running back. But if you're going for the gusto, I can't see why. I don't see why you wouldn't tear up a bit. You know what? I'm going to take the value. I'm going to go Joe Mixon, who averaged 17 points a game in 2024. You're going to take an aged running back. You're going to get a 2026 first round pick. I've got to go. The value is on the pick side. Joe Mixon's still fine enough, even in that less than stellar Texans offense. I'm going to go Joe Mixon and the first round pick. And it pains me to do so.
Hey, and I'm on the other end. I'm with Derrick Henry. Joe Mixon, 10th in explosive rating last year, 5th in opportunity share. Problem is that last month he had ranges of RB finishes, Joe Mixon, RB 27 to RB 52. Woody Marks, your team never Woody, but I am. He will siphon off receiving share. That 26 first sounds good for a rebuilding team. The problem is I want a younger piece than Joe Mixon as that second piece. So I might want I'm going to want younger players. I'm going to want more than I was going to say Tyjae Spears in that 26 first, but I'd want even more than Tyjae Spears. So you might even have to throw on like another second. I want to get younger though off of Joe Mixon, show. And then Derrick Henry. Give me Derrick Henry though. He's gotten better with age. Age 31. I am not fading. A guy who can get you 20 touchdowns in a season came too shy, 18. And we just said it off the rip last year. Oh, he's going to score 20 touchdowns. I got a tweet out there. And sure enough, he came very close. RB2 last season, just over 1,900 rushing yards. I am all team Derrick Henry here. If you're rebuilding, you absolutely have to get younger for that Joe Mixon side. So for me, I'm on that Derrick Henry side. I win my league. I pay for my next 2 to 3 years. Next up, Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith. This is 2 quarterback, 12 team, start 10, full PPR, 0.5 tight end premium. So you get a little boost with Jonnu Smith and Kaleb Johnson. Chev, I know you love Kaleb Johnson. Which side do you land on here?
I mean, so big Kaleb Johnson fan, but also, I mean, I'm hoping that he's Derrick Henry and then Jonnu Smith in any sort of tight end premium with him being peppered with targets last year. He's a tight end 4 for a huge stretch of the season, with him literally being a week winner in any sort of tight end premium for several weeks over the back half, like weeks 9 through 17. So yeah, again, this is situational. If you're going to pay to get Kaleb Johnson, I feel like this is an overpay. You could probably just add Derrick Henry and like a third to a contender to do something like this. But yeah, I'm on the Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith side. If I'm any sort of contender, the 0.5 tight end premium makes it to where I can do that all day, twice on Sunday. And I mean, Derrick Henry's going to retire Raven. He's going to retire with one of, if not the best running quarterback of all time. He averaged a 5.9 yards per carry. That's career high last year. Kaleb Johnson figures to be a dynamic running back. Don't hear what I am not saying in this instance, but there is no world where this is, from a production standpoint over the next 2 years, that Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith is going to absolutely smash.
Hey, this is a career swap for the next 1-2 seasons, and Jonnu sweetens the pot. You just made a great point. I'm glad you mentioned it about the age. It's a career swap, essentially. You're playing for the next 1 to 2 years. Are we playing basketball, or are we doing a fantasy football podcast here? Because this is a slam dunk for the Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith side. I take Derrick Henry, I win my league, I pay out for the next 2 to 3 seasons, and then when Kaleb Johnson is ascending, maybe I go and buy him then. I'm not going to wait for Kaleb Johnson to be what? Derrick Henry? It's like
Right.
The Simpsons when Homer Simpson talked about going to Canada. He's like, why go to America Junior when you're already in America? So on that same concept, I'm not going to go to Derrick Henry Jr., which you kind of mentioned right at the beginning there. Plus, Derrick Henry, 17 games played the past 2 seasons. Loved reading that. Very illuminating. You love to see that health for an older running back. 18 touchdowns again, mentioned as a 20 touchdown upside every single season that he's with Lamar Jackson. And I'm getting plus 111 targets with Jonnu Smith. It's a free 111 targets. And you said tight end 4? This is just so easy. It's Derrick Henry. It's Jonnu Smith. Kaleb Johnson, we love him. We need more, I think, on this Kaleb Johnson side. So in the comments, let us know, what would you need to add to this side for Kaleb Johnson? Because I don't even think, a rebuilding team, I'm not even sure this would add up so much. I think you would want more on that Kaleb Johnson side. Something just doesn't add up here. Not the best trade, not necessarily the worst trade, but I come down on the side with you, Chev. Slam dunk, Derrick Henry, Jonnu Smith. Next up, we have, speaking of bell cows, it recently came out, reports from GM Andrew Berry. He's talking about Judkins, Quinshon Judkins, being a bell cow. We've got a Superflex League, 12 teams, start 10, full PPR, 1 tight end premium. So you got Jayden Higgins, who I know you love, that 26 round 2 pick. Chev, do you buy Andrew Berry talking about Quinshon Judkins being a bell cow when you have Dylan Sampson, round 4 running back, and Jerome Ford there? What do you got?
And whisper Jerome Ford. Listen, I'm very bullish. I mean, there are many in the community that will reference Quinshon Judkins yards after contact per attempt and being in 11th percentile amongst all running backs with at least 1,000 yards, or whatever the stat is being matriculated across the Twitter X-verse. I don't care. I've watched Quinshon Judkins with my own 2 eyes since he was an 18-year-old freshman at Ole Miss, and I believe that he's stepping into this role. If they can somehow manage to figure out who's going to throw the forward passes on this American tackle football team, the Cleveland Browns, I am all in on Quinshon Judkins as a bell cow. Now, what we have to factor in is the fact that Jayden Higgins got better draft capital than Quinshon Judkins, and we're getting a 26-2 on top of it. So the path right now, I would say, is much more clear for Quinshon Judkins to come out and smash in year 1. But going into that 2026 season and beyond, we could have a situation where Jayden Higgins is commanding 120, 115, over 100 targets in an offense where Nico Collins is commanding coverage and Jalen Noel is operating in the slot, former Iowa State Cyclone, teammate of Jayden Higgins. So there's an opportunity here for Jayden Higgins to get off the runway a little bit slower. I think the path is clear for Quinshon Judkins. I'm not worried about Jerome Ford. I'm not worried about Dylan Sampson. All we have to do is wait for football to start happening, and Quinshon Judkins will make people bring power tools to the stands in, Cleveland, Ohio, because he runs the ball like a man possessed. And I can't wait to see that at the NFL level. So I'm on the Quinshon Judkins side. I think that there's more security of role immediately, and I think that that's going to work out better for us taking the Quinshon Judkins side. And then, if it works out for Jayden Higgins, that's great. I am big Jayden Higgins guy, but I am higher on Quinshon Judkins.
In crossover between Dynasty and Best Ball underdog drafts, late 6th round pick, right around pick 70 for Quinshon Judkins. In the event that Judkins gets bell cow usage, as GM Andrew Berry is discussing, we're talking about paying off ADP at that value and taking advantage of the reluctance. So this is something you really do want to hear from a GM who drafted Quinshon Judkins in round 2. Now, to your point about Jayden Higgins, the 26-2 is nice, but it's replaceable. Jayden Higgins, he's got a great track to lift off. We love his talent. But right now, Nico Collins is the main show in town.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Judkins who can hit value in year 1, especially with unadulterated opportunity immediately, backfield share, weighted opportunity between carries, and in the passing game. And if I want to, after year 1, I can cash out and sell Quinshon Judkins before Jayden Higgins rises. So I might be able to squeeze this trade that's here for even more, maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks. You see the market, how running backs shift landscape very quickly. When you become a hammer running back, you can really just, request a second mortgage for the other person who wants to send over a package in a trade.
I totally agree with that. I'm looking at the fast draft ADP for Gamma that's going on right now. Quinshon Judkins, the 8th running back off the board in the Origins drafts, and Jayden Higgins is 12. So that 2026 second might actually, that might do the trick, for basically a 4-pick difference in ADP. So people are sharp on Quinshon Judkins. They believe Andrew Berry. And so I'm going to believe Andrew Berry as well. And I'm going to stick on the Quinshon Judkins side.
And it's crazy. It sounds sacrilegious to a degree that, hey, Quinshon Judkins from this entire draft class, you got Ashton Janty, you got Travion Henderson, Omarion Hampton, that he would usurp and be all the way at the front of the line. But it can absolutely happen. Remember the gap between rookie Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. I can remember positing the question, hey, can Jahmyr Gibbs at his sub 200-pound weight challenge Bijan Robinson for the RB1 in the class or even in the rankings? And it sounded just sacrilege when it came from, me asking people. And it's just so funny. Don't slam the door so much on players saying right now that, hey, Quinshon Judkins, Ashton Janty, Omarion Hampton, there's such this big gap that can't close in a matter of next November or next March or come this time next year in 2025, that Quinshon Judkins is right there at the top. So I think, when we talk about tiers of players, tiers of rookies, Quinshon Judkins is a little bit further back, but he's still somebody who can still hit that front end. A veteran who comes to mind for hammer running backs is Jonathan Taylor. You're getting him a little bit later. If you take an accordion out, Jonathan Taylor is just further back, but I think he can have a recovery season at the age of 26. Same concept with a rookie, Quinshon Judkins. I really think you can get that. You accordion out and you go as far as you can, and you're like, okay, we can get up to what RJ Harvey is now being hyped up. How can you forget him? And isn't it funny right now? RJ Harvey is all the way up here, and Quinshon Judkins. Would it surprise you, Chev? How shocking would it be? Scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the most. RJ Harvey and Quinshon Judkins, their markets flip this time next year, and we're all about Quinshon Judkins.
There's no question in my mind that that's a possibility. I mean, if Quinshon Judkins is who he showed himself to be at the, at Ole Miss, and then what he showed himself to be in the college football playoff, there's no question in my mind this could hit, this could hit like prime Mike Tyson. So I absolutely think that there's an outcome where this happens. It would just have to come on the back of a less efficient offense because they don't have their quarterback situation figured out. But, as we always say in the fantasy streets, you buy the dip on uncertainty.
And just as quickly as RJ Harvey, it shifted and changed for him in fantasy football. We got to be wise to understand that it is not sacrilege and it's not out of the question that this market could absolutely shift and change. This has been Trade Gods. We will see you next week.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.